freedom of the press author, bestseller, #1. I call him the Great One, host of Life, Liberty, Levin, right here on Fox, their #1 show. Great One, let's ask this. How would you say the start of this Biden administration is going?
First of all, Adam Schiff shouldn't be running for Attorney General. He should be running from the Attorney General. As I watch Biden sign these executive orders like Benito Mussolini handing out declarations, and I listen to Chuck Schumer, the Democrats in the Congress, we have two problems going on here. First of all, we have a monarch in the White House, and we have a mobocracy in the Congress, neither of which want to follow the Constitution. I'll give you some examples. I started to make a list. Packing the Supreme Court, and Schumer talked to Rachel Maddow about wanting to expand all the courts. Clearly a violation of separation of powers. They're trying to have an ideological court system. That violates separation of powers. This is Article 1 attacking Article 3. The federalization of state election laws in this H.R. 1 that Nancy Pelosi's been pushing to turn the states into California so they can never lose an election, the Democrats, that violates Article 2, Section 1, Clause 2 of the Constitution. You can't do that by statute. You need to amend the Constitution. They talk about D.C. statehood like they can just pass a statute. The District of Columbia is created by the Constitution as national capital area. It's not to be put under a state. That's Article 1, Section 8. So they're not free to do that. This outrageous so-called impeachment trial in the Senate has no authority, no jurisdiction, whatever. It is absolutely rogue. It's a complete clown show. The Constitution's clear, Article 1, Section 3, conviction of somebody who's in office, removal from office, and disqualification from future office. It's not like the Democrats are literate when it comes to the Constitution, but I guess we're going to hear them yammer on and on about it. A bill of attainder is unconstitutional. Article 1, Section 9, Clause 3. What's that? Congress is not free to pass punitive legislation to punish or penalize somebody encroaching on the judicial function, especially without a real trial. That is what they're doing if they try and use the 14th Amendment against President Trump. What else? Schumer wants to get rid of Citizens United. Citizens United allows advocacy during elections, free speech. So they want to attack the First Amendment and free speech. The Second Amendment, they want to regulate and use executive orders to destroy the Second Amendment. These are the Bill of Rights. Biden's over 40 executive orders and actions, violates separation of powers. We don't have a president who dresses up legislation as an executive order and sits there like he's some nursing home. I just signed this one. I just signed this one. And then he doesn't take any questions. So that's Article 2, the presidency attacking Article 1, the Congress. But the Democrats don't much mind because they like what he's doing. This executive order on Keystone XL pipeline, we have an amendment, the Fifth Amendment. It's part of the Bill of Rights. It's the taking clause. You don't get to steal somebody's property without remuneration. So that's a violation of the Fifth Amendment. We have the Equal Protection Clause in the Fifth Amendment that applies to the feds, the 14th Amendment that applies to the states, Equal Protection Clause. He signs an executive order that promotes race-based discrimination throughout the federal departments and agencies, clearly in violation of equal protection. He assigns another executive order destroying women's sports in this country for biological females. Again, violates the Equal Protection Clause of the 5th and 14th Amendment of the Constitution. Now, what has he done apart from this? Biden and his party are bought and paid for by the teachers' unions. That's why he opposes the #1 civil rights issue that President Trump was pushing, school choice. These kids that can't afford private and parochial schools, they can't get out. They are stuck. So he's bought and paid for, as the Democrat Party is, by the teachers' unions, and they choose them over your kids, America. Biden and his party are using COVID-19 to give hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars to blue states, blue cities, special interests, their constituent groups, having nothing to do with the pandemic. $1 trillion already sits there that hasn't been spent, and he wants another $2 trillion for starters. Biden killed thousands of American jobs, hardworking, middle-class American jobs, while opening the borders to illegal aliens. God knows how many numbers of illegal aliens. Biden has royally screwed up the production and distribution of vaccines developed by President Trump and his administration. They don't know what to do. He's never known what to do. There's not a single one of the people in his inner circle that's ever worked in the private sector doing anything productive. They don't know what they're doing. Biden's foreign policy and national security teams are laced with individuals who despise the state of Israel and slobber all over communist China and that genocidal regime in Iran. Now, while we're at it, he has enough time to make sure that who's appointed to head the criminal division? Ex-colleague of Hunter Biden's lawyer. He's got to take care of the family. But I want to talk quickly about Chuck Schumer. You mentioned it. He threatened 2 U.S. Supreme Court justices. He threatened the Supreme Court. He assembled a mob on the stairs of the Supreme Court that tried to break into the Supreme Court, but for that 13-foot bronze door there. And he warned those justices that they are, in fact, in for hell if they don't vote the way he wants. He threatened the Supreme Court. He used the Kavanaugh hearings, as Molly Hemingway so brilliantly wrote, to convene a mob, to disrupt hearings. Who the hell does this clown Schumer think he is? Stomping all over the Constitution with a 50-50 vote in the Senate, trying to impose his will on the American people, on the whole country, and now going to have a rogue trial? He's the one that should be in trial, and all the other reprobates that have for decades been threatening the American people and making outrageous comments to try and stir up and create frenzies among their own base. That's how lousy the Biden administration has been in 15 days. 15 damn days. That's it.
Great one. Thank you, Mark Show. Life, Liberty, Levin every Sunday night right here, Fox News. Coming